Truth isn't trendy, it's eternal, positioning Israel doctrine as timeless and unshakable. I don't follow the crowd, I follow the covenant. Separates the movement from popular culture. The streets talk, I correct them. Asserts authority and credibility in debates. Israel doctrine, where facts cut deeper than feelings. Appeals to logic over emotion. If it's not scripture, it's just opinion. Keeps focus on the Bible as the foundation. I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to be right. Bold, confident tone that builds respect. This isn't religion, this is restoration. Shifts the brand from dogma to revival of truth.
Peace, everyone. Welcome to YouTube Street Info Mob channel. That's the main channel for this. We're also airing on Facebook and another YouTube channel. So today's topic is stated in the headline and on the paper are two different things, but we're going to deal with the one in the headline first. Murder Doctrine Episode 4. Murder Doctrine Episode 4, the dark truth behind the Afrika Bambaataa stabbing. So the paper says, and I'm going to let the computer read it, and I'm going to continue from this point on, letting the computer read.
Murder Doctrine Episode 4. What happened to that teenage boy who stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson? Where is he?
Where is he? Is the question. Now, I never call myself saying the answer to the question. But after 8 years of tremendous stalking and provoking and stuff from a government informant by the name of Khalil Money, I could assume at this point that this young man is dead due to a lot of factors. You're going to hear some of them in this presentation, but I believe the young man is dead. At this point, Hassan Camel is a murderer. Thus says Israel doctrine. Anybody got a problem with it? Thus says Israel doctrine.
I welcome you all to episode 4 of our YouTube Streets Info Mob series titled Murder Doctrine with...
So, I'm already messed up. It's all good though. I don't blame a stroke victim.
I welcome you all to episode 4 of our YouTube Streets Info Mob series titled Murder Doctrine with the subtitle, What Happened to That Teenage Boy Who Stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and His Manager Ahmed Henderson? Where's he?
See, this is what it's all about. Y'all hear a lot of back and forth between me and Khalil Money, me cursing him out and stuff, because at this point, he is a counterintelligent agent at work trying to break me down. But the hard part is about it, he's a female trying to break a man down. So you know they can somewhat get you in your emotions where you will put your hand on a female because they trying to break you down with their mouth and this and that. So that's his job, to get me mad and angry at him. I'm happy though, because he done ran everybody away from me and I ain't got nobody to debate. So, I mean, beating them up is just it's a pastime show to me. I don't know, White 100 Digital Pit Boss, Simon or whoever his name is sending this guy after me for me to destroy him on a subject considered my best subject.
This episode 4 is going to be a little more personal than other episodes, as it involves the potential of the murder of a teenage victim of sexual assault by the godfather of hip-hop Afrika Bambaataa on April 1st, 2013. This episode will deal with the fact that the teen has not been identified since it was alleged that he stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson following what was reported to be a date raping of the teen in a New Rochelle apartment in New York City in 2013. In this episode, we will show how my investigative journalism and info activism following the public outcry that occurred when Ronald B. Stinger Savage and Hassan Poppy Campbell came out alleging to have been childhood victims of molestation by Afrika Bambaataa in 2016 has shaped and molded all you see in these YouTube streets and in hip-hop culture since.
YouTube streets and hip-hop culture. And I've been there on this ride ever since. To the point that no one talks about this. No one has dealt with this. They all been ran away from me, chased away from me, where I have exclusive arguments and fights and debates with a government informant.
This episode is going to be action-packed as I will be submerging the audience deep into a hip-hop tale that involves sex, money, murder, and confidential human sources or career informants working together to cover up crimes in hip-hop, including child sex trafficking, adult sex trafficking, racketeering, extortion, bribery, breaches of the Associated Press, cybercrimes, murder, and conspiracies to commit murders.
Conspiracies to commit murder. The Zulu Nation and their affiliate partners in crime. White 100, Simon, and all the rest of them cats. Yep, the new rock and roll cats, Outcasts, Stank on You, and all of that other stuff too.
I want you all to know what I had to endure personally to be able to bring you the question this Murder Doctrine episode is posing, and that involves personal death threats, false flagging of various of my YouTube channels, shadow banning, and even strategic lawsuits against public participation placed on me by Chicago-based journalist Layla Wills in Cook County Court in the city of Chicago. To bring you all this information, I had to literally beat a false civil and criminal charge in Chicago, Illinois. I even suffered a real-life stroke as a result of the war waged on me for asking this simple question in the YouTube streets of what happened to that boy. I know that may be a lot for the audience to digest, but it is important that you all see the value of the blood, sweat, and tears I have endured to inform you all about these things going on in hip-hop and the YouTube streets.
Yes, and do it a lot. To this very day. He's stroked out. He this, that, he's everything. I'm everything under the sun but a child of God. I can never be an Israelite dealing with this government informant. He just keep calling me a Hebrew Israelite. I sent him a cease and desist. He like, F that, you a Hebrew Israelite. I'm gonna get you pissed.
I have been attacked by federal informants of the United States government over this. I have had my name slandered by a conglomerate of YouTubers to cover up what my investigative journalism uncovered about probably the biggest organization in hip-hop, the Universal Zulu Nation. I have lost finances as a content creator to bring you all the real from a unique perspective that I believe no one man can match online in association with hip-hop. I am truly the king of these YouTube streets by the sheer information and documentation I have gathered and the real-life experiences I have weathered to be here as a servant of the Lord God of Israel. Before we get deeper to the bottom of what happened to the teenage boy, they alleged stab Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson back in 2013, I would like to direct you all to go and watch the sister series I created, the 5K1 series episode 2, which featured a unique perspective on the nationally known federal informant and government witness hip-hop artist Tekashi 6ix9ine.
It's some dope information I'm putting down. Now, Khalil Money likes to follow my biblical information, as I said. My best topic on YouTube. And I then challenged him to deal with this 5K1 and this murder doctrine. And all he did is called out federal informant's name. He actually ratted them out.
Now, I do not want to brag about being right, but when you're right, you're just right. If you all go and watch my 5K1 episode 2, I want to make it a key point that during that episode I distinctly expressed that an event was going to happen shortly after that would explode in the YouTube streets tied to Tekashi 6ix9ine, hip-hop manager Wack 100, and Rolling 60s Crip gang leader Big U. I spoke on YouTube content creator Hassan Poppy Campbell and how he was intertwined with known and potential federal informants and how the 5K1 or snitch lifestyle that is being perpetrated more and more in the YouTube streets was going to cause more murders in hip-hop. I expressed how what we are witnessing is a government operation that has aligned the content online with the prison pipeline as we see racketeering cases being brought against known hip-hop artists and the gang affiliations and street ties being used to create documentaries and all kind of contraband to not only run rackets online, but to also cover up crimes using the court of public opinion. The government corruption and misuse of the courts using lawfare and the associated press breaches and book deals being used in a systematic attack on us all by non-governmental organizations, not-for-profits, and charitable organizations is a multi-billion-dollar industry on the collective.
On the collective people. And the people have came together as a collective against what I'm going through, because if they're not all together at the end of the day, I'm going to win and I'm going to own a lot of stuff.
If you all are asking, what happened right after I released the 5K1 episode 2? What shook up the hip-hop culture and the YouTube streets like clockwork after I released it? Well, I have expressed in all of the episodes in my new series that I started a hip-hop acronym that goes like this: Hear Israel people half open prophesize. I made that term to show that the Bible, which is the best tool for our liberation, allows those with the right spirit to discern and forecast events based on having foreknowledge of the principalities that govern what we call hip-hop culture.
Govern what we call hip-hop culture, kill all rats, all of this stuff, right? I've been a victim of kill all rats and stuff myself. They tried to make me a rat. They tried to put me with the government informant Khalil Money. When I got with them, as the law of life dictates, I take care of people that surround me and that rose with me. Once he left me and became part of the Tour Terrain and Later Wheels gang, or a team, or whatever you want to call it, all hell done broke loose.
Now let me read you all a news article on what happened on the weekend following the release of my 5K1 series episode 2. ABC News Los Angeles reports, 34-year-old son of former rap executive Eugene Big U Henley killed in South LA shooting. The article goes further to report, a man who was killed on Halloween night in South Los Angeles has been identified as the son of a former rap executive and alleged former gang leader. Jabari Henley, 34, is the son of Eugene Henley, commonly known as Big U. Eugene Henley once managed Nipsey Hussle, among other rappers, and is alleged to be the former leader of the notorious Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips street gang. His son, known as Baby Uli, was shot and killed Saturday night near Figueroa and 69th Street after he walked up to a vehicle outside of a smoke shop, the Los Angeles Police Department told ABC News. Investigators say someone inside the car opened fire before driving off. Jabari was found on the sidewalk suffering from multiple gunshot wounds before he was pronounced dead. The suspects fled, and no arrests have been made. Earlier this year, Jabari's father was named in a 43-count federal indictment for allegedly running a mafia-like empire in South LA and Las Vegas. He was also accused of being linked to the 2021 murder of an aspiring rapper. I want you all to take heed that in 5K1 Episode 2 I spoke on the private audio phone call leaked by Hassan Poppy Campbell that obtained allegations of extortion by WAC 100 and Big U against the estate of the now deceased hip-hop artist Nipsey Hussle's estate. In that episode I informed the audience of the federal informants who crossed paths with Hassan Poppy Campbell and how due to cover-ups of crimes that it would lead to even more crimes and violence that would spill from the real streets into the YouTube streets and vice versa.
Yes, because he dealt with that what's his name? That documentary that Nipsey Hussle was dealing with. Y'all know I dealt with that live when it was going on.
Now as we get ready to do our deep dive into this Murder Doctrine Episode 4, I want you all to take heed that this episode will speak to some key principles that is going to shape and mold the future of hip-hop, the YouTube streets, and the real streets all throughout North America and abroad.
Take notes, people. What I say is strong. I don't care if people listen or not. My job is to warn you as a watchman of the Lord God of Israel.
I will be posing a few questions to the viewing audience to stimulate your brains, as I would like you all to use your critical thinking skills as you listen to this episode to form proper thoughts on what has been going on in hip-hop and in these YouTube streets.
Let's see if you have critical thinking ability. Some people don't have it. I'm not mad at you. Either you was born with it or you was born without it. You need to see both sides of the coin on one side of the coin.
The questions I want to pose to you all are as follows. Do you know that the now deceased legendary DJ K-Slay, the founder of Hip Hop Straight Stuntin' Magazine, Street Sweepers Entertainment, and a member of the street organization Kill All Rats, snitched to a nationally known federal informant that...
Did y'all know that K-Slay was a snitch? I don't care which one of you K-Slay fans want to say something. Even Khalil Money, like I said, he want to play with Hebrew Israelite and all this stuff, but he won't touch this with a 10-foot pole. I don't know what it is. I don't know nothing about it. I don't follow it and all of that, but you follow everything I say and do. But he ain't going to touch it. His people not going to tell him nothing about it either. Leak you should be listening and taking notes and telling them and stuff. She don't touch it.
Goes by the name of Khalil Amani about Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson getting stabbed by a teenage boy in a New Rochelle apartment in New York City on April 1st, 2013. How many of you all know that the nationally known federal informant and witness that DJ K-Slay snitched on Afrika Bambaataa was told by DJ K-Slay to publish an article titled Afrika Bambaataa, Gay and Date Raping? Do you all know that DJ K-Slay hired Khalil Amani, who is known nationally for being a witness in the federal prosecution of Miami-based cult leader Yahya Ben Yahya, to write for his magazine Straight Stuntin'? Do you all know that Khalil Amani alleged on the Ed Opperman report that DJ K-Slay as a teenager was used by the Universal Zulu Nation with other teenage boys in the nation to lure in underage boys for Afrika Bambaataa to have sexual relations with in the late 1980s and 1990s? How many of you know that YouTube content creator and social influencer Hassan Poppy Campbell alleged that Afrika Bambaataa gave him the photo of the boy who was reported to have stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson to kill that boy for Afrika Bambaataa? If you want the answers to these questions, stay tuned, because we are going to get to the bottom of what happened to that boy and show that Murder Doctrine was done overtly and covertly to cover up his whereabouts and whether he actually survived the date raping that led to him stabbing Afrika Bambaataa and his manager.
That's why the question is, what happened to that boy? There's been a lot of statements out there. What's the boy name? Star say he knew the boy name, never gave it out. Khalil Money said his name was Giovanni. Said he was a sodomite like himself, and him and her son Camel had a sodomite war over being Bambaataa lover. I don't hear nobody in these YouTube streets talking about that accusation. Only person talking about it is YouTube street Big Dom King Carl Albert Davis.
As many of you all who have watched Israel Doctrine Entertainment LLC on our various YouTube channel over the years may know, this platform started a movement in 2017 using info activism by way of hashtagging to find the whereabouts of what was reported to be a young Spanish or Latino teenage boy that stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson of the Universal Zulu Nation in a New Rochelle apartment in York City in 2013. Sidebar: my persistent hashtagging all over YouTube throughout the years of 2017 and 2018 in my opinion made YouTube add the hashtag feature for content creators under their YouTube videos. I hashtagged with my chat moderators in so many side chats and on comments on creators' walls so much for almost 2 years that YouTube then updated its user options to allow for hashtags to be added into the descriptions below videos on YouTube.
Because I'm an info activist. And that's how we use hashtags to emphasize what it is that we're talking about. You can be talking about anything in the world. You put a hashtag and you create the subject that when people hit that hashtag, they can see how many people come in up under that topic. It's a whole nother form or a flash mob and everything else. I started doing that and I became the face of YouTube without anyone ever knowing, because YouTube took my info activism and activated it. Everybody steals my style.
The reporting of the stabbing of Afrika Bambaataa and Ahmed Henderson was made online after what was said to have been a statutory sexual assault or a date rape of a young teenage boy by Afrika Bambaataa. The reports of the young teen's sexual assault were first reported by the Colorado-based author, writer, hip-hop journalist, and nationally known Federal Witness Security Protection Program recipient Khalil Amani.
Did Layla Wills tell you that in her documentary? Khalil Amani mentioned it, but the documentary never came out, never was published, right? So unless you watched it with a knowing eye, you never heard or seen the fact that Khalil Amani came out in 2013 and told on Bambaataa sexually molesting teen boys up there in Bronx River. You never hear that clear because Layla Wills did not want that to get out. I told her that. She knew it. She said she knew her son Camel took that picture to murder that boy. She never told the feds or nobody else. She buried in that fake ass hip hop documentary.
Khalil Amani was informed of the stabbing of Afrika Bambaataa and his manager and the alleged statutory sexual assault of the teenage boy by what Khalil Amani called his hip-hop boss at the time, none other than the now-deceased legendary hip-hop New York DJ K-Slay, as Khalil Amani was a writer for DJ K-Slay's Straight Stuntin' magazine in the year 2013.
See, you'll never get nothing publicized that clear outside of me. You find it, inform them of me, and we can sit down and have open conversation about it.
DJ K-Slay, who was a former member of the New York City Black Spades and Universal Zulu Nation at the time of 2013, was an insider who was alerted to the incident shortly after it occurred and decided to inform his writer Khalil Amani, who DJ K-Slay knew was a career federal informant, to publish an article at his behest, which was published online by Khalil Amani the day after the alleged incident on April 2nd, 2013, titled Afrika Bambaataa Gay and Date Raping? After allegations of the sex trafficking of a minor and the stabbing incident was dismissed by Universal Zulu Nation as rumors other victims began to emerge against Afrika Bambaataa in 2016.
We ain't even gonna talk about the Nation of Islam being there. But yes, at 4 hours in the room when Bambaataa and Ahmed Henderson was at the New Rochelle, well, the hospital. It went in New Rochelle. I think they made it to the Bronx. Him with them and 100 Zulu members, including Hassan Campbell.
It should be noted that star Troy Torrain formally published the allegations of the incident on the Shot 97 podcast, at which the story would circulate online in 2013, but ultimately die down until 2016.
Why is that? Because they never wanted to deal with that boy. They brought new victims out when you can hear their names, see their faces, to erase the fact that the boy existed. Here go you two more. Let's play with them online. Make them big famous YouTube influencers and start running our YouTube program.
Many people are aware of Ronald B. Stinger, Savage, and Hassan Poppy Campbell, alleging similar sexual misconduct against Afrika Bambaataa in 2016, with Ronald Savage being a former Democratic elected official in the New York City Bronx district coming out in the New York Daily News alleging he was molested as a teen by Afrika Bambaataa, and Hassan Campbell making a Facebook video that was taken down alleging the same sexual misconduct had occurred to him as a teen by Afrika Bambaataa in the 1990s. After coming out against Afrika Bambaataa in the Daily News publication, Ronald B. Stinger, Savage would then go on Fox 5 News with investigative journalist and reporter Lisa Evers to further substantiate claims against Afrika Bambaataa of childhood sexual molestation. Ronald B. Stinger, Savage, Khalil Amani, and Hassan Poppy Campbell all spoke of being aware of the stabbing of Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson by the missing teenage victim in an article for Canada-based Noisy Vice magazine published by journalist Dave Wedge.
Dave Wedge, he's also a part of this, because if he never comes out and say anything about this boy and what happened, and that Layla Wills and Troy Terrain brought out Ron Savage and Hassan Campbell, that means that white man was a part of the cover of that Hispanic young man that Fat Joe and all of them won't even speak about.
In 2017, I interviewed Hassan Poppy Campbell on my wrongfully terminated YouTube channel Israel Doctrine Reloaded, and he would later allege during an interview on the Queen's Flip YouTube channel Episode 29 that following the stabbing incident he was given a photo of the teenage Latino or Spanish boy who stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and Ahmed Henderson by Afrika Bambaataa to murder on behalf of Universal Zulu Nation Security Arm Zulu Warrior Security. Hassan Campbell on Queen's Flip episode number 29 stated for the world viewing audience when he asked Queen's Flip the host, "The dude that stabbed Bam up, where's he?" Hassan would then confess by saying, "I do know I was going to be one of the soldiers that was going to hit him." The fact that Hassan Campbell was confessing that he was one of the soldiers, or what I later would find out he meant the Zulu Warriors security company detail that was ordered to hit or to put a hit out to murder that boy for Afrika Bambaataa.
Yes, big brother. Big brother. Mr. Islam himself.
In my recent 5K series episode video, I spoke of how prior to my 2017 interview with Hassan, Poppy Campbell, I recorded our private call prior to the interview due to Hassan Campbell speaking of murdering Afrika Bambaataa and also for claiming that he wanted to murder Frank Gehry of Sonnetter TV for allegedly setting him up to be murdered by hip-hop artist Immortal Technique, who Campbell claims was a member of Universal Zulu Nation.
Yes, y'all remember all that and stuff. They got into it on Six Dynasty show after I was giving an interview telling the world about this and introducing it on Six Dynasty. But Six Dynasty had a love affair for her son Camel that he attacked me and then let Sonetta on and let her son and Sonetta fight it out and start their little beef and everything, trying to X me out.
It was at the moment of me listening to that Queen's Flip episode number 29 podcast that Hassan, Poppy Campbell, was not just a mere victim of Afrika Bambaataa, but in fact he was a willing participant and conspirator to the child sex trafficking and adult sex trafficking of Afrika Bambaataa, the Universal Zulu Nation, and its Zulu Warriors security arm.
Give me a sec, please. Give me a sec, y'all. Woo. As y'all know, time has went back, so it's getting dark early and stuff. Things are going on that it's not in my power, but we're gonna deal with them. We're gonna keep the show going and the information that the YouTube Street Info Mob is doing and get out there so y'all can get it though. Y'all can see I can't get it. I want to get it.
My private investigation into Afrika Bambaataa and Hassan Campbell would uncover a cast of individuals who Hassan Campbell would whistle-blow against, including names like Doc, Jerry, F, Muhammad Stanley Bell Islam, Mickey Benson, and other O.G.S like Half Pint and TC Islam, who was also featured in Murder Doctrine Episode 2. Once my platform began to gain heavy traction in the YouTube streets asking the question of what happened to the boy, they say stab Afrika Bambaataa, is when I found Khalil Amani's article, Afrika Bambaataa, Gay, and Date Raping? I would then reach out to Khalil Amani to conduct an interview that is now infamous, where he revealed to my viewing audience that not only was he a hip-hop writer, journalist, and blogger, but that he was known nationally for being a federal witness in the prosecution of Miami cult leader Yahya Ben Yahya in the 1980s.
In the 1980s, he took down Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Now he wants to have his name written in the annals of hip-hop of taking down Israel Doctrine, who he formerly called struggle doctrine, when he's the one struggling with doctrine trying to come against me. I just watched right before this, he changing the subject, saying that it was no Israelites in the wilderness until they made it to the land of Canaan. It was Hebrews in a mixed multitude of people. They got baptized when they went through the Red Sea and came out in the land of Canaan as Israelites. What, you think I don't know that? You don't think I know the biblical story? You see how I hit you up on the fact that you lying about in the wilderness who he killed and stuff?
I would later find out what I said earlier about Khalil Amani being a writer and employee for DJ K-Slay's Straight Stuntin magazine. I would later piece together that it was actually DJ K-Slay who would snitch on his former Universal Zulu Nation member Afrika Bambaataa to a known federal informant about Afrika Bambaataa sex trafficking minors, and even told Khalil Amani years prior to the stabbing incident about how he would be the accomplice to the teenage boys being used to traffic other vulnerable underage teens into the Universal Zulu Nation, and that some of the young boys would have sex with Afrika Bambaataa who was adult and who was gay or bisexual.
Yes, Khalil Amani knew in the early 2000s about it. He never spoke on it though. He had knowledge but never spoke on it until his snitching ass hip hop boss say, I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Therefore, Khalil, you got to write this article so we can control this shit because it's out of control.
What I would learn further about the incident that was alleged to have occurred on April 1st, 2013, is that star Troy Torrain also made vlogs asking for the underage teenage boy to come forward. I would also find from various accounts that the underage teen was said to have stabbed Afrika Bambaataa while in the apartment following a date raping, and his manager Ahmed Henderson, who was also in another room in the apartment, came in during the commotion and also received injuries from the knife or sharp object used in the apartment to stab the two. It was alleged that after the stabbing, the boy was able to flee from the apartment, and then Afrika Bambaataa and Ahmed Henderson drove from New Rochelle to Jacobi Medical Center in New York to be treated for the wounds associated with their injuries. It was also stated by various sources that once the word was out that Afrika Bambaataa was stabbed, that members of the Nation of Islam security detail, the Fruit of Islam, came to the hospital to check on Afrika Bambaataa. It was also stated that close to 100 or more active members of the Universal Zulu Nation also came to the hospital. It was stated that 2 people was able to see Afrika Bambaataa the night he was stabbed, and those individuals named was Queen Papsi of the World Council and Tafiq. Even more, former Zulu Nation chapter leader Cuba Crisis said that following the alleged stabbing incident he witnessed Ahmed Henderson at a Universal Zulu Nation meeting which occurred just days after, with visible bandages associated with him recovering from the wounds he received.
Shout out to Cuban Crisis, what up? He, before all this stuff, attacked me through Solomon and Oh God, who was known as Black Media or whatever back then. I used to beat up on them all the time. Got old footage where they was in Philadelphia and I scolded them niggas.
Now here is where the plot gets thick, because remember, all of these things which are protected by medical privacy laws, to what the official press release was from the Universal Zulu Nation, which was Afrika Bambaataa was in the hospital for chest pains or a heart attack scare, was contrary to what other press releases has said about this incident. Ronald B. Stinger Savage, Hassan Campbell, and Khalil Amani all went into Associated Press release in Canada's Noisy Vice magazine and stated that Afrika Bambaataa was stabbed on the night of April 1st, 2013. Hassan Campbell said he was given the photo of an actual teenage boy who Afrika Bambaataa wanted him and other Zulu warriors to kill in an overt conspiracy to murder. Even greater, nobody has ever been able to confirm or deny with an actual body that the teenage boy made it out of the apartment that night of the stabbing. Though Hassan Campbell claims to have been given the photo of a teenage boy by Afrika Bambaataa, nobody has confirmed if the photo of the boy was the victim, but regardless, the accounts differed in the press and breached the press. Hassan Campbell alleged that the young teenage boy in the photo had an older brother, and that individual also has not been produced. In my asking growing presence in the YouTube streets, unraveling all of the facts with investigative journalism and info activism is when I began to receive waves of attacks from the now growing supporters of Hassan Campbell, who saw him as a victim and was not informed of his willing participation into the criminal acts of the Universal Zulu Nation and as security for Zulu Warriors Security Company.
Yeah. A Zulu wannabe by the name of Chicago-based global gangsters, Shorty Capone, was stated to go murder me when I come back to Chicago. Yes, Shorty Capone. Chicago know who he is. He was trying to get on Sarnetta TV from Doggy Diamonds, and Sarnetta was dissing him. I made a video and said, he don't know who the hell Shorty Capone is. Got Shorty Capone on Sarnetta TV. Even had him make lame ass threats, riding in the boat in the islands, talking about people having strokes and this, that. Bunch of shit didn't happen, y'all.
Now let me recap this a bit. A man, Hassan Poppy Campbell, alleges in 2016 that as a teenager growing up in the 1990s, he was molested by Afrika Bambaataa in the Bronx River housing projects in New York City. Hassan Campbell further alleges that he and other young teens as members of the Universal Zulu Nation would partake in what he called boy sex orgies with the adult Afrika Bambaataa. Hassan Campbell keeps his molestation a secret for decades until he snaps one day around 2015 and decides to whistle-blow on Afrika Bambaataa. At the age of around 36, Afrika Bambaataa is alleged to be stabbed by an underage teenage boy after a date raping, and Hassan Campbell, a victim, agrees to take the photo of the teenage boy and intends to murder the teen victim for his own victimizer in Afrika Bambaataa.
No one speaks on that. Later we'll want to talk about that because Hassan Campbell was and is the star of Trapped in the Culture, a bogus ass documentary that she put out there, knowing before I knew that her son had a picture to murder the victim. She knew he wasn't a victim, but yet a victimizer of victims of his alleged pederast, I should use the term.
Israel Doctrine Entertainment in the movement I created online in 2017 was based on the one simple question of, what happened to that boy, the one they say stabbed Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson? After asking that simple question and being persistent, everything I say happened previously happened. Hassan Campbell would go on in 2017 threatening to sexually assault children for people questioning his advocacy for child victims. Hassan Campbell had the Federal Bureau of Investigation dispatched to his home for the threats he made on minors online. Hassan Campbell has lashed out and used his platform to do everything from attack women and even terrorize residents of Bronx River housing projects recently, and claims that he was shot in the process. To this day, the question remains, did Hassan Campbell actually kill the victim for Afrika Bambaataa? Did another Zulu warrior get to the young teen, or was it all a play on propaganda to create a massive grifting operation online to pool the public's resources on fake news stories of molestation of thousands of teens?
So y'all know Donald Trump against fake news. The Pope against fake news, this, that, and everything else. Barack Obama wrote or signed a bill in 2012 or something like that, giving people the right to run propaganda on the American public. Hip-hop used it before anybody else.
What happened to the teenage boy who DJ K-Slay told a nationally known federal informant in Kalilamani to publish the article on April 2nd, 2013, titled Afrika Bambaataa Gay and Date Raping? What happened to the teenage boy who Hassan Campbell said he took a photo to kill for Afrika Bambaataa?
What happened to him, people? And for that, I been stalked for 8 years and everything else because I asked that question. I asked the question that no other man would ask because no other man have nuts, but don't give a fuck like I give to ask.
If you want to hear more about my story on this, be sure to become a member and watch my 3-part documentary, What Happened to That Boy. Though it has not been proven whether a murder of the teen occurred, this episode still is a testament to how murder doctrine is a plague in the hip-hop culture.
Yes, because like I said, I can't say if Hassan murdered that boy. I can't even say that the boy exists. All I can say is that the Zulu Nation, which is a powerful nation within hip hop, has caused a lot of problems with that Afrika Bambaataa young boy booty shit that's been going on. And as K. Slay said before he died, Khalil, we got to do something. But his bitch ass never did nothing but flag down my platform and everything because I was informing people about the shit that was happening. Bitch ass nigga. Fuck that nigga.
Disclaimer: the Murder Doctrine series is not to glorify the murder of any of the individuals we may discuss throughout the episodes in the series. The Murder Doctrine series was created to show how murder, which at Israel Doctrine Entertainment we never confuse with what the Bible teaches us, is a righteous kill, i.e., a man facing the death penalty for murder. Murder doctrine or unrighteous killing has plagued the hip-hop culture since its inception. With the hip-hop artists we come to support for their music and the street ties to gang violence that goes hand in hand with the secular cultures of the modern music industry. This is YouTube Streets Knowledge. Don't miss our next episode 5 of the Murder Doctrine series, where we will deep dive into the life of now deceased rapper Prodigy. Prodigy is someone who I believe was getting ready to expose the pedophilia and pederasty that takes place in the hip-hop industry, and how, though his death was not ruled a murder, his music was laced with the topics that coincide with being a whistleblower in hip-hop.
Yes, I believe they killed Prodigy on that tour. Murdered them with what they say is an egg. You're supposed to swallow the egg and this and that, and it killed them and everything. I believe they killed that man. But once again, I'm just a journalist, investigative journalist within YouTube, within the streets, within the rights and laws as a U.S. citizen to do so. And I ain't no bitch nigga that's afraid to do so. So, therefore, King.
Hit the like button, share this video with friends and family on social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification to be alerted when we are dropping the next episode, become a member, leave a comment under the video. It helps the algorithms. Be the first to hear the greatest perspectives from the king of these YouTube streets.
Big dog Colorado from Arkansas. Got him mad. Y'all heard the instruction.